finding peace within this moment. So a lot of the time we can feel distracted from the peace which naturally flows within us. And in the aim of this video is going to be to identify the peace which flows within us. This reality which we are all existing within is based upon pulling us out of the choices which we can implement, which will signify a sense of determination within awareness. A lot of the time we lack determination, which is going to activate a sense of presence, which ultimately allows us to connect with the inner peace, which is forever present. This reality is designed to inflict a bombardment of thoughts which ultimately trick us into thinking once we achieve this existence we will have the peace, or we will have the success, which is the perception of peace. What we must understand, a very basic principle, is that everything that we're existing in is effectively an illusion, and the truth of this existence is understanding that we are living within an illusion, and we manifest as a formula or frequency coded into this reality, which we then omit and obtain a certain existence. This reality is decoding a certain existence for us, and hence why our thoughts, when we perceive them and when we distinguish a certain path within our thoughts, if our thoughts aren't equating to a harmony of truth, we will always feel disconnection to a degree. And that is why it's so important to find the peace within this moment. Because if we are formulated to disconnect or formulated to bring a sense of uncertainty, we will only lose our existence within that uncertainty. Now, to bring it back a level, what we will start to identify when we are connecting to a sense of determination within this moment that we all know is true for us, and the way we know something is true for us is because we can feel it. The sense of feeling is so much more powerful than thought itself. Thought can pop into our minds and trick us and deceive us into thinking something's going to be good. However, if we don't feel that it's going to be good for us, it will never have the true power to bring the sense of determination. And this is why a lot of us, we go after these thoughts thinking that something's going to be really good for us, and then we lose that determination because we don't have that true purpose within that sense of determination. And that's why for many of us we struggle with achieving an existence which is true and has purpose, because we don't necessarily chase the feeling, we chase the perception of achieving an existence which never had that true purpose for ourselves. It's not to say that our thoughts can't bring us great achievements in life. It's to say that sometimes our minds get the best of us and we never really have that true purpose to go after something which brings that. We never truly have that determination, that fight fight existence within us to truly achieve something. And to go back again, to come back another layer, what's crucial to understand is that this existence which we're living in will always grant an opening within a matter of choice. So if we are feeling that something has purpose, or feeling something that has truth for us, as long as we can stay with that feeling, what we will identify is the thoughts will completely bombard that feeling and deceive us on believing that feeling does not have relevance to us. And it's trickery. It's absolute trickery. And what happens is that these thoughts, they actually deceive us from believing in that feeling, and then at the same time simultaneously fill our perception with other ideas and other thoughts which try and trick us to believing that these thoughts or these ideas are going to bring a better existence, or bring a destiny which is going to be greater than our feeling. And then what we observe is, in a matter of truth, is that these thoughts and these ideas are ultimately leading us down a path which don't calculate. They seem fantastic in thought, however these thoughts never end up calculating to a true experience, or a true connection to what we are perceiving they will bring. And that's why it's so crucial to understand that the feelings, as long as we become aware that our feelings can guide us to a place of oneness and of peace within presence, and that ultimately is connected to a sense of higher guidance or internal flow, which is flowing through us and trying to aid a sense of guidance for our existence. And the way we connect to this guidance is by connecting to our feelings. Intuition is essentially the feeling of knowing. And that is why when we start to trust our emotions and trust our feelings, if we're not feeling good, well, that's the first step of identifying that something needs to change. And as we work with this change, we work with our emotions, we work with our feelings, we will notice that things are simultaneously opening up for us. We start to work with our emotions. We start to feel our emotions and not run away from them, not believe that our emotions are trying to hurt us, or because they will if we run away, or if we shelter from them, if we don't learn to accept our emotions. And all I want to highlight in this video is that the thoughts in our minds are supremely sophisticated on creating the illusion which we are existing within. Once we start to connect with our emotions and our feelings, and start to accept and digest them, and start to communicate with them, what we will see is that the illusion itself becomes peace within presence. And we will always live in this paradigm which exists within our mind. However, what we will start to understand is we will start to silence the mind and purely become the expression of the internal beat, which we call presence. And that internal beat will always bring a sense of truth into our lives, which we allow and grant acceptance. And once we start to accept and become aware of this truth, start to accept the truth and appreciate the truth, what we will find is we will start to emanate a sense of godlike self. And this godlike self is the purification process of understanding and becoming acknowledging of the greater self, the higher self, the purest form of existence. And it all starts with just feeling rather than thinking. And this is the process which we can all take, and we can all begin to learn to listen to our feelings and trust our feelings, and learn to eventually become our emotions, begin to flow with our emotions, and begin to accept our emotions. And once we start to do this, we will start to silence the mind and understand that the mind is a mechanism which keeps us within this reality. And the mind, as it keeps us in this reality, also does its best to keep us in this reality. Doesn't want us to expand out of this reality and expand into higher states of consciousness, higher states of love, happiness, joy. And this is the power of our hearts, our emotions, is we get to accept all these emotions and get to activate within our presence, which will ultimately become its own external existence, which we can then grow within it. And if we ever hear the saying, grow within, look within, find, search within, once we start to identify with our emotions, accept our emotions, we will start to expand within ourselves, which will open up a whole different space of knowing. And this knowing will expand our awareness outside of the mind's limitation, the mind's grip on our expansion of possibility. And that is why every time we feel something, we have to be very aware and ready for our minds to try and shoot it down, close it off. The mind doesn't want it losing control of the infinite potential we are. The mind's job is to capture this infinite potential and give it a purpose within limitation, give it a purpose within this reality. It doesn't want us expanding into higher states of potential. Because if we all expanded into a higher state of potential, we would all realize that we are one consciousness. We are one existence together. And that, once we understand that, we then open our hearts to the higher states of knowing, love, compassion, joy, happiness, and we look around this reality and we see what has gone on here, what is going on here. And when we start to ask these questions, that is when the whole paradigm of the human existence changes.